Hello, thank you for joining us for Talking Europe on France 24, today coming to you from the European Parliament in Strasbourg. I'm Catherine Nicholson. Now, we might have mentioned once or twice that European elections are approaching, and if we can make one prediction, it is that there's likely to be a big shake-up in the European political spectrum. The spokesman of Germany's far-right Alternative für Deutschland recently said he hopes the results will teach some self-doubt in Brussels. So what can we expect, and what about the next step, choosing the successor to Jean-Claude Juncker as head of the European Commission? Joining us to debate these issues are Rebecca Harms, German MEP, former leader of the European Greens Group, and Enrique Calvet-Chambon from the Alliance of Liberals and Democrats, a Spanish MEP. Hello to you both.
Hello, good morning.
Well, to get started then, what to expect from this European election? There are predictions that turnout is once again expected to be quite low, around 40–45%. Rebecca Harms, coming to you first. Why aren't people interested in this election?
So I don't think that they are not interested in Europe, but many people are missing the ideas about their vote, the quality, the value of their vote for the European Parliament. I'm not so sure whether it will be so bad this time, because the movement Pulse of Europe, also Fridays for Future, this big new pupils and students movement to protect climate in the world, these are symptoms that people want us to do more. Most of the decisions, for example, against global warming for the European Union are taken here in Brussels.
Enrique Calvet-Chambon.
Yes, I think you asked why. I try to be very concrete. Why? Because of education, because of the mass media, and because, above all, of the local and national politicians. They are not interested in raising these topics. They prefer to be in more or less quantity populist and try to speak people from what they should understand, that is local, immediate, concrete problems. More and more, because we are renationalizing and revillaging even the policies, and they like to play the role of, if something goes bad, it's because of Brussels. If something goes good, it's because me, the local politician. When you think that around 80% of the laws in every European Parliament are developing European laws, it's a catastrophe for the democracy. Just not to teach people and to educate people that the real one important election are this one.
Well, do you agree with Rebecca Harms that the predictions of 40–45% turnout could be false? In Spain, for instance, they have put the elections for the European Parliament the same day than the local and regional elections. So that make me raise the participation, but not the interest for Europe, because the debate will be about local, regional, and people will go there and take. Well, I am from the socialists. I take three, without discussing what is the Euro. So maybe that kind of tricky ways can make quantitatively raise the number of electors, but no. Well, let's talk a bit about the predictions for actually the political makeup of the Parliament based on what's going to happen at the end of May. Predictions that the political spectrum is going to be quite different after that. We've got politicians from the far right, in particular, promising that they're going to shake things up after the vote in May. We've got a report that we're going to watch together from Owen Barnell.
A dream to unite the right. In Europe, far-right parties are trying to make it a reality, but is it feasible? With European parliamentary elections just around the corner, far-right-wing groups are gearing up across the bloc. Germany's AfD, the biggest opposition party facing Chancellor Angela Merkel at home, is now setting its sights on Europe.
I really hope that the result of these elections will teach them self-doubt. It could have happened with Brexit, but apparently it wasn't enough for them.
Will the vote be a wake-up call for the centre-right and left in Brussels? Fears are growing that nationalist forces are moving into the mainstream, determined to stay. Central to this aim, France's National Rally head, Marine Le Pen, and Italy's League Party leader, Matteo Salvini.
We're organising a major event for the Europe of the next 30 years. I read with a little smile the fake news about Le Pen, Austria, the Germans, Orban. One day we will have a four-way meeting with four movements from four different political families. And in May we will show our vision of Europe.
Along with other key players like Viktor Orban in Hungary, the two are considering a joint manifesto, a banner under which nationalist forces can unite across Europe and take the bloc to task on immigration, austerity and integration. The problem is they don't always agree on policy. If a common front can be established, the political prizes are big, though for now a united right is still a long way off.
Looking at this issue of the more extreme ends of the political spectrum, looking to make some gains in May. Enrique Calvé-Chambon, if I come to you, in Spain, we've seen the centre-right Partido Popular getting cosy with the far-right Vox party in the Andalusia election. It does seem that voters are seeing what we have previously considered extremes as being much more palatable political choices. Is this a failure of the more centrist parties?
In Spain, clearly, the failures of the big parties till now are enormous. But we have some special characteristic in Spain, like a putsch and like a separatist party that always existed. No? In fact, the new in Spain is that somewhat reformist of Europe, somewhat non-federalist, non-traditional vision of Europe from our father can take some room. This is due to Vox. But Vox, we must not exaggerate, wants the euro and wants Europe. They want, in the sense, you know, I think I give the floor immediately, but there are three big families. The one that doesn't want Europe, Brexit and probably some Germans, Salvini. The one that are more or less federalist, as me, and I think the Greens, but she will say, like me, but ALDE and Socialists, etc.
Pro-European.
And the one that are like ECR, the British Conservative, that is to say, we want a Europe that is more basically an economic treaty, but the nations. This family, the third one, could raise up a little bit in Spain. But there is, and I finish, a coincidence between the second and third family, that is, even if we believe in Europe, even if we want, this Europe cannot go longer because it is not working.
Well, do you agree?
So I disagree. I think this Europe still works, and I think that some of the pro-Europeans make a big mistake while always complaining that this Europe doesn't work. So if you look from the outside, the European Union is the most successful supranational experiment and project worldwide. So in only 70 years, we became a huge union, delivering security and stability to more and more people, and also better perspectives than in our direct neighborhood. And I would say, to campaign against this neo-nationalist movement all over Europe, and I say this also explicitly as German, we have to be very blunt. So Steve Bannon first helped the Brexit campaign by Farage. When he saw the successes of Lega Nord and Cinque Stelle, he went to Italy to organize a right-wing nationalist political family from Italy, from Rome. He's doing all this also with the support of Mr. Putin, with a lot of money. We saw it for Le Pen and other nationalist movements. Europeans should really think about whether they want to support Bannon, Breitbart, Trump and Putin in their idea to deconstruct the European Union. So this fight we have to really take as a united pro-European family.
May I
Absolutely.
answer? Because in my case, I totally agree with what she has said. I totally
So
agree.
this is very good.
Yes. When I say it's not working now, because I dream of the Europe of the founding father, because nowadays he's not fighting that. There is no governance. We have not been able to consolidate the euro 5 years after. There is no reference. The Brexit, that could have been a very good chance for the Europeans, has become a nightmare where Europe is losing credibility, with people losing even juridical insurance. And that is bad. I mean, when I say it cannot go longer, it's because what we have done, it's all right,
so
but we are not being able to renew it.
If you want that our citizens support us, then you have also to be fair. And you have to say, we have not achieved everything the founding fathers maybe dreamt about, but we have achieved
yes, that is true.
probably much more than they could take as a realistic perspective. So Europe grew the Union grew very, very fast. We are today so very diverse European Union, and we need a period to stabilize what we have achieved. And so I think we can get the support of the citizens for this.
Yes, we can get, and we should get.
Yeah.
Because without the support, you cannot do anything.
So the dream is already reality about Europe today.
No, what we have
and
got...
we have to do it now stepwise. And so my fear, for example, is if we campaign too much to overcome the sovereignty of the member states, we will lose towards the right wing. So we have to do it in a realistic and for our citizens acceptable and understandable way.
Is there too much competition then between the institutions, the Parliament, the Commission, the Council? There are disagreements, aren't there? It sort of paralyses the process sometimes.
Yeah, but the Parliament sometimes is very unfair towards the other institutions. So, for example, this ongoing complaint that the Council is kind of non-democratic institution. So these heads of states, they have a very good support stemming from national elections, much better than European elections. And we should accept the balance of power in between the different institutions for now, and we have to be careful in whom we attack to achieve progress.
But just like
then I disagree a little bit.
Okay,
I mean,
then we'll move on to another topic.
I agree in the fact that the Council cannot be reproached not to be democratic. That's stupid.
Yeah.
That doesn't understand what democracy is. They are as democratic as a government elected by people.
Very unfair.
Where I disagree that, no, I think that one of the structural problems of Europe today is the role of the Council. I would have preferred that the Council do not exist. I think it should be something between the Commission and the Parliament and maybe the sectoral Council of Ministers, but not this big power of the Council that finally decides and nowadays is clearly renationalizing many decisions.
Well, I'd just like to bring in, as we're talking about one of the other institutions, I'd like to bring in a word about the Commission. We are soon going to have the Parliament putting forward its candidate to be the successor to Jean-Claude Juncker. The process, for our viewers, known as Spitzenkandidat, it's a German word meaning the lead candidate. So just coming to you, Enrique Calvé-Chambon, we've got different approaches. The dominant parties, European People's Party and the Socialists, they're putting forward one candidate each, Manfred Weber, Franz Timmermans. Your group, ALDE, the Liberals, putting together a Spitzen team of several candidates. Why is that? Are you challenging this process? Do you want to mix things up?
Yeah, me personally, I am, and some people in ALDE are challenging the process. It's not very, it's not the adequate because you are linked since the beginning and you lose some possibilities to negotiate, to bargain after. I think that for ALDE system, there are two clear problems. First, there are a sane rivalry between many members that consider they should be there, and also the idea that it's good to decide who will be the final candidate from the Democrat Liberal area, to know the result of the elections too, because I think the very changing. We had a lot of German and Italian last mandate.
Yeah.
Today we have no one almost. So you never know.
It's true, isn't it, that really you both represent groups that, if we take the logic that the next Commission President is going to come from the biggest represented group in the European Parliament, it's probably not going to be either of your groups. You're probably not going to get the numbers, are you?
There were different ideas connected to the idea of the Spitzenkandidat. From my point of view, the most important idea was that we wanted to bridge this huge felt distance in between politicians on the Brussels level, the European EU level, and the citizens. It partly worked last time, but mainly in the German-speaking countries. All evaluations show this. In addition, we wanted also to upgrade the role of the Commission's president and the power of the European Parliament. We partly succeeded, we partly failed.
Unfortunately, we don't have any more time left in the programme, but we will see the Spitzenkandidat process playing out through the election and beyond. Thank you both very much for coming in for this debate. Rebecca Harms, Enrique Calvé-Chambon.
A pleasure.
Thank you as well for watching. We'll see you soon on France 24 for more European news. We may be in Paris, but here on France 24, we very much have Europe on our minds, especially in the lead up to the European elections that President Macron has billed as a clash between progressives and populists. Join me and our teams on France 24 as we travel the continent, meeting everyone from first-time voters to big-name candidates in debates, live coverage and more, a host of European-flavoured specials in the run-up to the big vote. Join us on France 24 and France24.com.
Get all your news on Europe and their European elections on France 24 and France24.com.